Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning into this lesson. I'll be talking about the Beatles' recording of I'll Cry Instead that they did on June 1st, 1964. The song was written in April of '64 entirely by John Lennon, and he intended it to be used in the Hard Day's Night film in the scene where the boys are running around in Thornbury playing fields in Middlesex, London. But of course we know they ended up using Can't Buy Me Love for that scene because the producers thought that the lyric in Can't Buy Me Love was more uplifting. And that was a bummer to John. And John was getting more introspective, projecting himself in his lyrics, instead of merely writing for, as John called it, the meat market. You know, meaning that this one is not in the style of a song that's destined to become a hit single. When the Beatles were in Paris in January of '64, they got a hold of Bob Dylan's Freewheelin' album, and that opened the floodgate of John expressing how he felt about himself. John's wife, Cynthia, had said that the song was about the frustration he felt at that time. He was the idol of millions, but the freedom and fun of the early days had gone. So they're at EMI Studio 2, June 1st, 1964, with the usual lineup, John on acoustic, George on electric, Paul on bass, Ringo on drums, and they record the song in two parts. They do the first 2/3 6 times, take 6 is the best, and then they do the second bridge and the final verse twice, and the second take of that was the best. And they overdubbed John double-tracking his vocal, and Ringo overdubbed tambourine. Then take 6 and 8 were spliced together on June 4th to make the final master. The song has kind of a swing, country and western feel, but with blues scales in it. I mean, meaning that John is singing some minor thirds against playing major thirds on his guitar. And that's kind of like a blues kind of ideology that they used in a number of songs, actually. And George's Carl Perkins playing is rockabilly influence and in full form. So great. They never played the song live. Fun facts to know and tell, it's one of the few early Beatles songs where there's only one vocal, no harmony sung on this one. And of course it was released on the Hard Day's Night album on July 10th, 1964. So I think that's the backstory. Let's get started. John Lennon is playing his Gibson J160E on I'll Cry Instead, and it might be one of the easier Beatles songs you're ever going to try to learn, so if you're a beginner player or intermediate, this is a good one to get under your fingers. You only need a few chords to play the song. You'll need a G, a D, and a C. Those 3 chords will get you through the verse. On the bridge, you need a B minor, an A, you'll need an E, and I've already showed you the A and D that you'll need for the bridge. So for the most part, John is playing 8th notes, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The only difference is that on beat 1 of the first measure and some of the measures, he plays a quarter note. But for the most part, it's always just 8th note strumming. And when he strums his 8th notes, he won't strum all 6 strings on one end. It'll be either the low 3 strings, or he'll strum up to the 5th string, and then all the strings. And for the most part, he's accenting on beat 2 of just about every measure. So at the intro, if I play it slow, it's like this: 2, 3, 4. Then you'd be at the verse. And again, at the verse, low, and then get all 6. A verse, 3, 4. But the tempo is a lot faster. So if Ringo helps me out, you have to do a little quicker wrist action here. Be like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I suggest when you learn it, learn the strumming pattern with a metronome at a slower rate and then increase the metronome speed as you go on. For the bridge, it's B minor. I'll just play it nice and slow. 3, 4. The only little tricky part on the bridge would be that last measure, measure 8 of the bridge, where you play A on 1 and 2, and then play the D on the end of 2, and 3 and 4 and. So that last measure is. So up to tempo, here's a bridge. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, then the third verse and the second verse and third verses, they're pretty much just the same strumming pattern. At the third verse, though, when you get to the C, you stop on the make room for that bass riff, which is measure what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Measure 11, you'll stop. So a verse with a stop, this would be like verse 3 and verse 4 would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the only variation of that rhythm happens after verse, was it 4? You stop on C, and then the last 3 measures you play. You just accent 4-1 at the very end. So let me play the last verse with the stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all the parts you need to play the rhythm, like John Lennon, on I'll Cry Instead. George Harrison is playing his Gretsch Country Gentleman on I'll Cry Instead, a lot like this guitar, and I'm playing through a Vox AC30. The part can sound really simple because it's just George, going for things, but it's actually quite complicated. And it's going to be difficult for me to show you every nuance. If you want to know it perfectly, I wrote out the charts and tabs, and they're available at MikePachelli.com, every single measure that George played. So, for the most part, the main riff could be thought of like this. It could be thought of like a G chord, and then a C with a G bass. But George breaks it up. He slides into the low G, then he plays... Right? That's the main thing he plays. Now, he doesn't always hit. Sometimes it's like that. But he's doing it all in one quick motion. Like that. And it's, of course, up to tempo, much faster. So he does that like 8 times at the beginning and the verse. And then when he gets to the D7, he kind of just arpeggios through the D7 going. Then down to the C7, he kind of just single notes it. Back to the riff. Just twice like that. D7. So as you can see, he doesn't even complete the normal intro riff by the end of the first verse. On the second verse, he throws out that low G completely and just plays on 2 and the end of 3. He plays 1. And then another little D7 arpeggiating thing. Down to the C7. And then one like kind of a C with a G on top. And then just once, regular D. Like that. On the bridge, he's doing some finger picking and arpeggiating, simple lines like this. To an A7, right? To a D, E7, just two notes on that. Let me play that bridge for you slowly. Then back to the main verse 3, the main riff. 6 times to another D7, down on the C7, ba-doom, boom, boom, bass. This time he doesn't even play the C over G. He just goes. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. It's completely different that time. All right, so then we would be at bridge 2 and more finger picking on bridge 2, like this. Really nice stuff. One. So very slowly on that part, on the B minor. To the A. He starts a little late on the D. It's like 1, 2, 3. Kind of like on a D7 form. And then sliding on the E7, he goes like 1. Back to the main riff. 6 times. Little variations. Again, I wrote it out perfectly if you want to know exactly what he did. And this time on the D7, it's on the C. Do, 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 do. And then the ending is so the ending sounds like. Now I know I may have rushed through that a little bit, but it's very, intricate to some degree. If that's too difficult, I mean, just think of the main riff. Just something like that, and get to the chords, and you'll have it. But again, if you want to know exactly how it's played, charts and tabs available to download at MikePachelli.com. So I put it all together, might explain it even easier to watch how it goes all together. So this is the sounds alike. Let's check it out. I got every reason on earth to be mad, 'cause I just lost the only girl I had. If I could get my way, I get myself caught up today, but I can't, so I'll cry instead. I got a chip on my shoulder that's bigger than my feet. I can't talk to people that I meet. If I could see you now, I'd try to make you sad somehow, but I can't, so I'll cry instead. Don't wanna cry when there's people there. I get shy when they start to stare. I'm gonna hide myself away, hey, but I'll come back again someday. When I do, you better hide all the girls. I'm gonna break their hearts all around the world. Yes, I'm gonna break it in two. I'll show you what your loving man can do. Until then, I'll cry instead. Don't wanna cry when there's people there. I get shy when they start to stare. I'm gonna hide myself away, hey, but I'll come back again someday. When I do, you better hide all the girls, 'cause I'm gonna break their hearts all around the world. Yes, I'm gonna break them in two. show you what your loving man can do. Until then, I'll cry instead. Well, I'm sure watching the sound alike made it a lot clearer, but I suggest you download the charts and tabs and learn both parts, play along with my sound alike, and you'll get it just like the Beatles. If you'd like to drop me a line, do so at MikePachelli.com, and again, that's where the charts and tabs are for all my video lessons for you to download, and I appreciate your support on that. It helps, support the cause here and the work that I'm doing on YouTube. So have fun playing this great old song, and until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.